So development on Dice Guy has been going great, until it wasn't.
Bruh.
I'll talk a bit about some major problems I encountered and the solution that solved everything a bit later in the video, but now let's check out what I added to the game. One principle as a game designer I always try to keep in mind while making my games is to use as little non-diegetic user interface as possible. Diegetic basically means existing in the physical game world and not just some 2D tabs pasted on top of it. I don't think that diegetic or non-diegetic UI is better than the other. They both have their place in games. I just prefer using Diegetic UI because it gives me more opportunities to introduce some storytelling to the game. So for the pause and character stat menu, I thought it would be cool to be represented as a physical space in the game world. The only logical place for this menu to exist in was inside of Dice Guy's head. And what can we find inside his head, you might ask? Firstly, there's a cozy fireplace that provides warmth, comfort, and also serves as a place to display all of the achievements you've earned. Next to the fireplace, we have a reading area with a comfy chair where the player can level up his intelligence. To the right of the reading area is a desk where the player can research new blueprints and recipes. Then we have a board where the player can see the progress he has made and what bosses are still left to defeat. A cranial cavity wouldn't be complete without a dice cube console running the latest and greatest game. Seems familiar. And last but not least, to improve Dice Guy's physical skills, we have a place to work out. There's also a ton of minor boring things I've added to the game that I don't feel is worth mentioning, like a day and night cycle and some new animations. So now let's get to the problem that almost destroyed my game. For the automation part of the game to work, I needed a way to display thousands of moving meshes on conveyor belts. I've dealt with rendering massive amounts of non-movable static meshes by using the instanced static mesh component, which takes all of the individual meshes and renders them as a single mesh. I thought that the same technique could be used to render movable meshes, and in theory it could work by moving the meshes using a shader, but passing all of that data back and forth between the CPU and the GPU creates performance issues, and also this does not give me much control over the paths of the meshes. So with no way of moving forward with the project, I only had one option left: to let my subconscious solve the problem while I go back to working on my previous game project, which was actually the game I was working on before I started making Dice Guy in July. COPCORE is a first-person physics-based co-op simulator. I made a lot of progress on COPCORE in a month, so much progress in fact that all of the main mechanics were implemented. The only thing left now is to add content to the game, like different crimes, maps, weapons and gadgets. A few days ago I was adding a fire hydrant to COPCORE, which uses particle positions to draw a stream of water, and at that moment I saw the answer to my Dice Guy problem. The Niagara particle system can use any data input to drive any attribute of the particles, so I could add a spline path to a conveyor belt blueprint and then feed the spline data into a particle system component to drive the position of the particles. But wait, we want meshes, not particles. Well, Niagara does have a built-in mesh renderer, so you can render the particles as meshes. The moral of the story is this: if you can't find a solution to a hard problem, take a step back and let it simmer in your mind for some time while you work on something else. The answer will come to you. So all of this leaves me with a dilemma. While I was working on COPCORE, I made so much progress that I think it would take less time to finish COPCORE rather than Dice Guy. But do let me know in the comments which game are you more excited for. That's it for now, thanks for watching.
Imagine shooting a man with your last bullet and he stands there, unfazed.